Followed by that, we have co-president for education and employability, who will be the primary spokesperson and representative on matters relating to students, academic experience, and employability. And then we have co-president sports and well-being, who will be the primary spokesperson and representative on matters relating to sports and student well-being. So the main change which you could notice here is that the sports and societies have been split into two sections, and there will be a separate representative for each. So the reason for this change is that so the current two vice presidents have specific sections allocated to work on. For example, Heloise has a reps and volunteers section to work on, and I have been designated sports and societies to work on, whereas the president has nothing in specific to deal with. He could jump on everything or do nothing. So that's the situation with the president. So we made that change. It also reduces the workload on the sports and societies role as well. So yeah, so the proposed constitution presents a new structure for student democracy to allow more students from a wider demographic to become directly involved in deciding what position ENSA should take on the big issues facing students. To achieve this, the current constitution, so the current student executive of 11 members, will be replaced with the ENSA 50, a group of 50 students representing a much wider range of student views. This group will also include reserved places for particular student groups, such as direct entrance, non-UK students, online and transnational students, Team Napier representatives, and postgraduates. To go more into detail about ENSA 50, we will have a clearer structure with our proposed constitution. With ENSA 50, we will have more effective student forums for sports societies, program reps, distance learners, transnational education students, and postgraduates. Also, with the ENSA 50, we'll be able to make sure that all our elected representatives are active, engaged, and working towards the changes the students want to see. The proposed democratic structures will allow better transparency and communication, ensuring issues from all across the student community are raised, discussed, acted upon, and reviewed. And better protection for student trustees. As a registered charity, ENSA must be governed by trustees, and the current model works really well with a good mix of sabbatical officers, ordinary students, and external professionals working together to make sure the charity is going in the right direction and complies with the charity law. But there is one major problem here. Trustees are completely financially liable if anything goes wrong. This is a huge responsibility, and the proposed new constitution seeks to reduce this burden on the trustees. So, by creating a legal structure called corporate trustee, in essence, governance will remain the same with a mix of elected officers, ordinary students, and external professionals, but they will no longer be personally or financially liable. So, those are the new changes we have made to the constitution. Yeah. So, Ankit, would you like to take on from here?
You're on mute.
Hi guys, so how it will affect the students, that's what it represents, that it's going to be having more opportunities to get involved through the new forums, which is ENSA 50. And as has already been touched, that it aims to bring together a diverse group of 50 students who represent the full breadth of student body, because we in university, all the students are from different aspects: undergraduates, postgraduates, direct entries, and some students have more concerns or more interest in sports and societies, and some other first year students have different experience, final year students have different experience, or their expectations are different, or their experiences are different because they want to get on to different campaigns and different kind of events and societies. So EU students, our European students, and international students, so they will be a perfect space, reserved place for every of these students coming from that specific group. So this group will focus on much more than just program-related issues, because there will be some 3 to 4 releases for program reps as well. I will not stick just to the program reps related issues. Looking at the wider student experience at Edinburgh Napier University, it's about bringing out positive change in student lives. We hope this will this new student forum will be an active, enthusiastic, and engaged group keen to bring campaigns to campus and help us to tackle wide-ranging student issues. So if you want to take a part of that, you can get in touch with any of us 3 full-time officers. We'll talk about that in detail as well, what groups we are running at the moment. Right, and for the sports and club societies, we'll be having designated elected officer. At the moment is the VP for sports and society. That person has a 2 role to remit, and it's too much for the person, which I have experience as well. Last year it was Georgia, and this year is Nikhil. So I've tried to help them as much as I could, and obviously Lisa tried to take her part as well. But this will be specific division of that part, so that there will be president for sport and there will be president for communities and societies. So that will distribute the load. And as this has already been touched by, there is going to be less concern about it becoming a student trustee. So because they will not be entitled to get any liability on this. Let's get into next one. We'll go 1 minute. Yeah, if you go to next slide, please. I don't know. We will talk about further on that how this is going to take, how the referendum is going to talk. So how and when will the referendum will be held? The referendum will be a simple yes or no question, as Lisa has touched on that. Voting will be on the Thursday, 3rd of December, which is just next week, starting from 12 p.m. You will be able to cast your vote between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. each day, including the weekends as well. Same, pretty much similar what we do for our democracy there when we go for election for sabbaticals, which will be again in next March. The university have provided a secure voting system to ensure fairness and impartiality. So it will be monitored by one of the staff members from university as well. Next one. So what is required for binding the result? For the referendum, to be binding a minimum of 10% of our UK campus-based students who are registered in the UK base, because our university has the distance learning approach as well, whereas the students who are from UK campus-based can be eligible to cast their vote. That's approximately coming up to 1,400 votes. It means nearly 1,400 students need to vote at least. That will be decided by a simple majority of the votes cast. Any question?
Yeah, so when we say UK-based campus, are we talking about people whose degrees are currently, say, in Edinburgh, or are we talking about students who are currently residing within UK? Because in my course, I've got 1 or 2 students who are currently over at the States, and I've got 1 or 2 who are in South Africa.
That's right, Danny. And as I was trying to explain, that students who registered as a campus experience, because our university do offer a distant learning approach as well. So some students already registered before even pandemic started. So students were registered as just not coming to campus. They don't want to have that experience, and they just registered to be getting all the tuition online.
Can I just come in and answer that question about who's entitled to vote? It's the students who are registered to a program that runs from one of the campuses in Edinburgh. So if I try it that way, that includes the vast majority of students. At the moment, our electoral grouping does not yet include as full members students who study on distance learning programs through Global Online, nor does it at the moment include students who study with transnational education partners. Part of the constitution changes is to bring those 2 groups into full membership. and they're two of the groups that are on that big diagram that shows who would become forums that would then elect people to be on the ENSA 50. But at the moment, they're not full members and therefore can't vote. But they will be able to vote in future, and that's one of the changes that the Constitution is trying to make. But I think that answers your question, which says if your programme is one that is based and delivered on an Edinburgh campus, even if some of the students are elsewhere at the moment, you're all entitled to vote.
Perfect, thank you.
Right, so how to vote is the link provided here, and it will be provided to our websites as well. We will be sharing on our social media as well the links. Voting is really quick and easy. Simply log into using your university username and password. We will also be giving a cash prize of £100 each week. So for 10 weeks, so that referendum is going to take about 10 weeks. So there will be about nearly £1,000 where students can win. Obviously, 10 students can win, and plus a free 12-month Amazon Student Prime membership and £10 Amazon voucher for the first 250 votes. So it's an open discussion for the students as well. If you want to be the very first one, at least, if you're going to be very 250, that at least you're going to get that £10 of Amazon voucher. Over to you, Lisa.
Yeah, and now we're just quickly going to give you some little updates from us as officers. So these are just more like personal updates about what we've been working on, what we've been doing, what we've done to complete our manifesto as well.
Sorry, just before we go on with that, we do have some time for anyone to ask any questions about the changes to the Constitution. If anyone wants to take the opportunity to ask any further questions, particularly about any of the changes.
There's a few questions in the chat. Should I just read them out loud?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to go.
So I have a question from Jakub here. Says, about the point of the change in the Constitution called clearer structures plus accountability. He asks, is this specifically about change of roles of the three officers and the increasing of the importance of the ENSA 50?
Yeah, it's all about the main change in the Constitution is that sports and society's role is split into two, and there'll be two presidents representing each one. Sports will be split into sports and well-being, and there'll be a separate representative for that. And for societies, we'll be having societies and community who will be representing that section. We have made that decision because our president at the moment has nothing in specific to deal with. He could jump on everything or do nothing. So the main reason is that, and also the next thing is ENSA 50. Obviously, ENSA 50 provides us a clearer structure and better governance. It's all about. So the main changes are these.
Yeah, to be precise, that's right. Two of these changes, and another one is the trustee members, so that there will not be any liability to trustee members. It needs to be incorporated. That's another change.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks a lot.
For a little bit of background about the way that things are structured at the moment, there are actually three different tiers of democratic body, and some of those don't actually meet at the moment. We haven't had enough interest in them for quite a long time, and so it's quite a complicated system with different levels and feeding into different groups who feed into different groups. So we thought this system was really quite straightforward, that there was the ENSA 50, that's the main group, and underneath that there would be specific forums for each of the student demographics, and they would be open to any student in that demographic that could come along and raise issues or be involved in the conversation, and they would feed directly into the ENSA 50, so hopefully that makes it clear. And it also sort of makes it clear who's responsible, who's accountable for taking issues forward. If you're a nominated person for your forum or for your demographic group on the ENSA 50, it's up to you to make sure those changes are expressed, and then it's for the three officers. They have very clear roles now, So that's where the accountability comes in.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. So I guess the forums under the ENSA 50, would the people in those forums somehow be elected by other students, or would they somehow be assigned? So, for example, for like a forum for international students, would international students who vote to pick who would represent them, kind of?
Yeah, it will be just the representation, but always anyone can vote. It's not like only international can vote for international.
Okay, that's fair enough. Thank you.
Cool, thanks, Jakub. And then there's another quick question from Jamie, who asks, what percentage of students usually vote on such matters? So do you mean that, I imagine you mean the referendum, or?
Probably Paul can say something about the last time the ENSA has tried.
So our turnout for sabbatical and student executive elections is around about 5%. Sometimes it's a little lower than that. However, we did hold a referendum in 2015 where we changed our name from Napier Students Association to Edinburgh Napier Students Association. And we did reach the threshold of the 1,400 students. It did take about 10 weeks last time, so it needs us to be continually promoting that and drawing it to students' attention. So it is possible, but it is some work, and that's one of the things that we would hope as reps that you would do for us is make sure that your classmates know about it, know that it's happening, and get informed and make a choice.
Great, thanks, Paul. And then, so there's another question from Jack, who asks, where can I find a copy of both the Constitution in its current form and the proposed Constitution? So the current Constitution, you can get it on the website, if I'm correct, and the proposed one, are we just going to send that one to all the students, or?
Sorry, for some reason it's moved my mute button onto the other screen over there, which is really annoying, so I have to keep flicking back. We're going to have a page, which is napierstudents.com/referendum, and it'll have this information that we have in the slides tonight, as well as links through to the current constitution and the new proposed constitution. If you check out that link at the moment, maybe someone can post it in the chat. The information is there, but the links haven't been set up. The final draft of the new proposed constitution, we've been correcting typos and doing the formatting on that. So we'll get that up onto the site this evening after this meeting, and it'll be there. I think the link to the current constitution is on that page at the moment, and you can also find that through the main page of the ENSA website.
Perfect. And Jakub has another question. He says, if the 10% threshold is not reached, will the constitution stay the same?
Can I step in to answer that one?
Yeah, we will take it to court, and Jenny can refer now.
Yeah, it's a very fair question. I mean, our main task is obviously to make sure that at least 10% of students turn out to vote. And I'm very encouraged by the number who've come along to this meeting and are taking an interest. And so hopefully you can encourage all your friends and fellow students to turn out to vote so the problem won't arise. But if you take, for example, suppose that only 9% of students turned out for the referendum, but for example, it was a very strong vote in favour of the changes, then that could be presented to the university governing body, the university court, to say, would you be prepared to accept that as being the view of those students who chose to turn out to vote? And if their court is content with it, then the changes would go through. But our main aim is obviously to get it right and get the referendum to be a proper referendum with at least 10% of people voting.
Great. Have you got a question, Danny?
Yeah, so is it a case of we need 10% of students to vote either way, or do we need at least 10% of students to vote yes?
So it's just 10% of students to vote either way?
Got you. So in
because
theory,
that makes it a bit easier. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that will make it just a tad easier.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, that's a good question. Okay, perfect. If everyone's okay, we'll move on now with the agenda and just go on to the full-time officer updates. And if you have any more questions, you can also like message us later on. That's absolutely fine. But yeah, I'll just give you a quick update about what I've been up to. So obviously in my role, I'm the VP reps. So that means that I'm in charge of, you know, making sure that the rep system works properly, being a point of contact with the reps. So that's the part that's, you know, that has to do with my role, but then there's also my manifesto and the things that I'm personally passionate about as well that I've been working on. So, for example, a big part of my manifesto was to improve sustainability within the university and encourage students to live sustainably as well. So what I've been doing in the past few months, obviously because I started this job at the beginning of July, is that I've been working very closely with the Sustainable Society, which is one of our very active societies at the moment, with the sustainability team at the university as well, and with different students who are also passionate about sustainability. We just do lots of different things. So one of the actions that we've completed is that we've set up a Hedgehog-friendly campus working group at Napier. So the whole point of this is to make sure that our campuses are safe for hedgehogs, so to improve, you know, biodiversity, because hedgehogs are, they struggle quite a lot because they get run over all the time in cities. So because campuses have a lot of green space, and we have 3 campuses as well, they're good places to make sure that hedgehogs are protected. So that's our logo on the screen that one of our graphic design students has created. And then something else that I've been working on is to try and make the university a bit more attractive and inclusive to exchange students as well, especially this year. It's not easy with the pandemic to meet new people, to go out. So I created a Facebook group for exchange students where exchange students can meet each other, they can discuss, and then also I will share different tips and tricks and things to do in Edinburgh that not everyone necessarily knows, so just more from the point of view of a local, to try and sort of create a stronger exchange student community as well. Then things that are more part of my role is that I'm on different university committees, on academic committees. So these are places where we'll discuss how assessment work, if exams are fair for students, the transition to online learning. So I'm there to give the student perspective on all this and make sure that you know, the student experience is being taken into account every time when these decisions are made. And then as well, I've, with the help of the ENSA team and other people at the university, I've improved the program rep training as well. And I'm also in current contact with the program reps through the Facebook group. So that's usually what I do. And one last thing is that, so we spoke before when talking about the referendum about the ENSA 50. So the ENSA 50 is a group of students who are committed to want to improve the student experience within the whole university. And that ENSA 50 is divided into 3 working groups. So a different theme that we want to focus on. And in my working group, which is called Promoting Positive Choices, we've decided this year to focus on consent and on reducing sexual misconduct at the university. So that's a big thing that we're working on at the moment. And we're working with the Wellbeing and Inclusion team, with the Feminist Society, to just put on different campaigns and make sure that the university is an inclusive place for all. So our ENSA 50 group has just only started about 1 month ago. So it's great because it's something that's student-led. I know that some of my working group members are here as well, so that's good to hear. But yeah, that's it from me. I could keep talking for ages, but that's the sort of general update about what I've been working on and what I've been doing. And if you want to have more regular updates, I post weekly updates on my Instagram story and monthly updates on my Facebook. So yeah, I'll just move on to Nikhil now.
Yeah. So my role is to represent all the students at Team Napier and help develop all the sports clubs and societies. So the past few months, I've been closely working with all our sports clubs and societies. It's a tough time for them, actually. Most of our sports clubs have been put on hold as we remain in level 3 restrictions. They can't really practice at this moment, and so far it's just been athletics and triathlon, which are continuing the usual training, and men's and women's hockey and rugby, men's and women's rugby have got back on field last week, so they're doing pretty well. We have introduced a COVID officer in all our clubs, and track and trace system is a place, and you could feel free to join them. All the safety precautions are being taken, and an update about our societies. Societies are doing well, going ahead with their online activities, watch parties, game nights, pub quizzes. So they can't really organize any in-person activities as we remain in level 3 restrictions again. So once we move to level 2 restrictions, we could look at organizing some in-person events for societies, probably in the month of January. So we're looking at January for some in-person activities, although we're not sure about that. Depends on the situation then. So that's an update on our sports clubs and societies. So moving on to ENSA 50. Supporting financially as a student. So that's a group I'm leading on. So the basic plot of this group is to help find part-time jobs for students and to give some advice on money management. That's a basic plot of this group. So the members of the group have come up with good ideas. So I could see a few of my group members are here as well. So going forward, we'll develop that group further, develop ideas, and we'll be having a ENSA 50 forum on 1st of December. So you could feel free to attend that as well to know more about our groups we are working on. So yeah, that's an update from me. So Ankit, you can move to yours.
Hi, hello again. So my remit is being a president and well-being and community, these kind of the remits which I need to take part, and some of them which I try to be doing in person as well, as many of the students were concerned about everything's going virtual. Even our event at the moment is virtual as well. It's always good to have some in-person experience. So I try to revive gardening club, which was connecting with the healthy body and mind kind of campaign. We have done it past as well. So getting to sustainability to that, we did try plantation as well. There is if you guys know, there's Lions Gate at Merkiston campus. In Merkiston campus, just next to the library. So it's like in kind of L shape. So the front bit comes next to the library, which you can see from the inside library, and the other one is from the cafe area, which you can see from the back. In there, we planted some trees and some food to grow, such as one of the tree plantation was the apple tree and a cherry tree, which I planted to dedicate our new graduates who just graduated in this term, and some raspberry. And there is a greenhouse over there as well, and there is some beds. If you want to grow or if you want to get involved, there's an opportunity for students to grow some more things. And one of the another bit was, if you can see the picture on the left, we have finally got a compost bin, which was a concern raised by many of the students in program rep forum last year, as I was sharing it there last year. So this was the thing which was raised, that if there are some banana peels or the orange peels or anything like that, they are supposed to be food bin, which we can turn into compost. So that's there now, and which we will try to extend it to other campuses in Breakout and Cited as well. And after that, we did some litter picking as well, which was again a task for Hedgehog campus, which Elisha is really keen and working on it. So I am in team member to that as well. So litter picking we did for a certification for that. Next one was the Love Food Hate Waste, which was in connection with the Global Climate Week, which some of the events we had gone through in October. It's building a community where if your food is you're not going to use it, such as it's getting a very date near to the date within next week, and you're not going to use it. So people donate to the community, and one of the community we went to was a Cultural Crescent nearby the Untitled campus. They had all that, and we collected from there and distributed to students who were struggling in financial hardships due to this pandemic. So that was kind of inbuilt project for love food and hate waste that doesn't get into waste. Even if some peels or bananas are getting wasted, obviously you can put down into the compost bin. Another one which I was in the bike tour. Bike tour was again for the healthy body and mind, so that students can get some fresh air or can get some minds out of stress. So there will be some physical activity. Bridget Hub was one of the company which helped us to get some bikes, and we did a whole trip around the city in Edinburgh. We went from Side Hill on the way to Craiglockhart path, and this was a cycling path goes next to the Union Canal, straight to the Plainfield, and from there all around the city in Edinburgh. And another one was for the Interfaith Week. Interfaith Week, which was a joint collaboration with the Interfaith of Scotland. They had a week in November, in the beginning of November, second week of November. One of the representatives from the Interfaith Scotland came up and they represented their views. We have our chaplaincy, and this is another collaboration of our chaplaincy department in university. We have students from different faith, Islamic faith, Christian faith. We have the societies from both as well. And our Christian Union Society, where President Amy, she came and shared her thoughts as well. And some other organizations came up who had different faith. They shared out how we can use our faith for hope, because in this pandemic, it's so much uncertainty. Our advisors in ENSA are getting so many queries that how we can help students, specifically some of the things which are out of our reach, out of the reach of the ENSA advisors and ENSA boundaries. And so at the end, what we say is just hope for the best and be positive minded. So that was this project was connected to. And now another one is a Student Deserve Better, which was recently we did in last week. Our NUS, which is National Union of Students, in this pandemic, all the sabbaticals are getting together to fight for some funds, getting the government to put some more funds into the university so that the students can get some assistance to that, who are facing a lot of financial stress and financial hardship because they have lost their job, they have so much uncertainty. Students who just graduated this year have not secured, many of the students have not secured the job, so there is so much uncertainty. That getting to the last point is the ENSA 50, which we have talked much about that, and the group theme I am leading is the supporting student communities. It's three of the communities which we talk about was the international students, especially in now time, university is not restricted to the certain age limit. We have mature students in postgraduate who are doing PhD, and some of the undergraduate students as well who have families, who are in 30 plus of the age, and their challenges, their are different than other age groups, so they need some different support. Working on that pretty much, and that's all me. I don't want to take much of time. We are already running off the time. Alicia,
great,
back
thanks,
to you.
So yeah, I'll just quickly go through what we spoke about at the rep forum. So our rep forums happened last week. So there was one for Side Hill, one for Merkiston, and one for Craiglockhart, and all the reps were invited to attend. Obviously, the reps from that specific who learn at that specific campus. And at those forums, I just asked, what are your academic issues and what are your facilities and technical issues? And there's a lot of different things that came out from it. So just a few examples of students not feeling confident enough to reach out to their lecturers when they're having troubles with coursework because they haven't really met them face to face yet, and they don't feel like, this connection and this, that they're close enough to be able to ask them if they have any problems. So that's been a bit of an issue. Also, students having to pay full tuition fees for courses that are now mostly taught online. Placements have also been cancelled. Students not really turning their cameras on during class, which means that especially for first years, they have struggled to meet each other, to know each other better, because they just see, you know, a blank screen with a name instead of someone's face. And then there's also facilities and technical issues as well. So, for example, Moodle crashing during exam submissions, one-way COVID system being a bit too complicated on campus, the lack of gender-neutral toilets as well. So these are all different things that have been raised. What I did after that is I gathered all of these issues and then contacted the relevant departments within the university to try and resolve these. So I'm currently in contact with them. Some of these issues have already been resolved. So Moodle crashing during exam submissions, that was from a specific rep, and the issue about that course has been resolved. So we found out what the problem was. And then I'm just in current communication for the different issues to find out how we can improve it for the second semester as well. And obviously, there's not only been negative things coming out of those forums. Obviously, I've only just put the issues on the screen because that's what's of most interest. But there were also lots of very positive comments and saying that the transition to online learning has been quite smooth. The university has done well despite the circumstances. So there was quite a lot of positivity there as well, which was nice because I wasn't necessarily expecting it. So that's just a quick update from the rep forums. Yeah, now we'll just move on to Nikhil.
Yeah. So to give an update on campaigns we have worked so far, firstly starting with Freshers Fair, which we organized in the month of September. So we had 20 events across 7 days, including pub quizzes, watch parties, yoga and dance classes, and a fitness challenge and live streams with myself, Eloisa and Ankit, and Sports and Societies Fair. So Sports and Societies used Facebook rooms to communicate with the freshers, and it went really well. It was possible because of Fraser. He has done a great job coordinating the sessions. So climate change and then we had a climate change and sustainability campaign in the month of October. Produced a sustainability handbook for students, hosted webinars with the Sustainability Society and Dr. Mark Huxon, and provided in-person events, including a local conservation activity and with the Green Team, and active travel cycling tours with the Bridget Hub, as well as promoting Scottish Government webinars and workshops. So that's with climate change and sustainability. And then we had Black History Month, worked in partnership with student unions across Scotland and promoted a month-long program of BHM events, as well as hosting a BHM quiz with our BAME Society and holding BHM book club and photo talk events hosted by our Equality and Diversity Officer. And we had Mental Health Week, worked with the university's well-being team to celebrate World Mental Health Day, promote well-being webinars, and launch the Student Mental Health Agreement, as well as co-hosting an event to support international students and loneliness and isolation in conjunction with Edinburgh's Nightline. And then we had Excellence Awards, revisited last year's postponed student-nominated Excellent Awards and celebrated the amazing work of 143 nominees and winners from the teaching staff, professional services, and the student body. Also, we had virtual coffee and chat sessions this month in the first week of November. Hosted the first virtual coffee and chat session with staff from the business school, ENSA advice, and the university well-being team, offering students a chance to get informal advice and support, with more session planned for later in the year. And then we had Interfaith Week, that too in the month of November. We had it on 10th of November, celebrated Scottish Interfaith Week through a multi-faith webinar with guests from 10 faiths, including the university's chaplaincy and the Interfaith Quiz to follow up. And we had a program rep forums, developed a program rep system to facilitate online submission of rep details. by program leaders and administrators, as well as reviewed our online training module in partnership with staff from DLTE, with 341 reps confirmed, 296 taking part in training, and rep forums held for all the 3 campuses. So that's an update from campaigns we have worked so far, and we have a few more campaigns coming up in the month of December and January. We have a Rainbow Laces campaign on 9th of December, and then we have got anti-smoking and women in sport in the month of January. So it's still, these campaigns are still in the planning stage, and yep. So that's an update from campaigns. So Ankit, over to you.
We are pretty much all over from the part 1, shifting to the part 2. And getting to the part 2 is the student referendum, ENSA constitution, what, why, how, and well, I think
that's the first part.
Right. Okay.
The second part will be the word cloud.
Yeah, word cloud, and welcome to our principal and vice chancellor. Is it here now? That slide. Fine. I'll try to continue while we're waiting for the slide. So it will be a word count. I hope you guys have used menteam.com, a website which is an application where you can put your words, and we can have what the word you would call as a student experience issues. So it's just an activity, and now we can take our 1 minute to stretch our hands. I have seen some other students who have been stretching. That's good one. Well, you are spending too much time on your desk, sitting around. Are we on to that's menteam.com? Well, and after that, we will be having a welcome to our principal and vice chancellor. Our principal Andrea Newland and vice chancellor Alison Tobin will be joining us in 5 minutes. They both are going to come at 6 o'clock. There will be an update on trimester 1, and then there will be updated what's the plan for the Christmas, because specifically last year it was a great big party, and our principal has arranged big burgers, wines, and many things. And I was expecting all that this year as well, but pandemic has changed everything. Q&A will be, so you guys will be having an opportunity to ask any questions to our university leadership team. And after that, there will be a breakout rooms. We will be out in 4 to 5 in one group. And our university leader team, and we will be going around the groups. So round up and final comments by Andrea and Alison. And after that, what's coming up for the referendum remainder, that will be pretty much to the end. So now, as you can see on the screen, it's the menti.com, and the code for that is 3715797. And I can see only some of the words which is disconnected from peers. Yeah, that's one of the ones for the COVID. Unable to meet lecturers. That's right. Isolation. That's it. Less social opportunities. Oh, I can see the gender neutral toilets. Well, students are not in the campus, but still, yeah, we can work on those as well. No individual feedback. Childcare is one of the concern as well, and the biggest one is the COVID. Yes, guys, there is a COVID. Communication, no individual feedback, but if there's any concern of your assessment feedback, don't forget that Alicia is there. You can obviously take it to your program rep, and because there's a proper protocol, you take it to your program rep, and then if it doesn't get sorted there, then you take it to VP rep, which is Alicia this year. so that if that voice is not coming up, some of the concern has been raised in the program web forums, which Lisa is definitely working on, and editorials, online classes. Should not be any issue for the online classes, but actually that was one of my manifesto. Last year I was asking university to record the session and all that, and when I take it to LTAC, I was being refused. Well, we can't afford, we can't make it for everyone. And after a few months, it was actually last November when I took it to LTAC, and all of a sudden in March, lockdown, every single program is online now. Funny, so that's a SWOT analysis, like, your opportunity and comes up. And we can see our principal now.
Hi, Ankit, how are you?
Very welcome, very welcome. Thank you, I'm good. And hope the same from you.
Yeah, Alison is just going to join us shortly.
And we are just going through for word count and some of the what issues have affected our student experience this term. So probably you can see the screen. What are the words students are trying to put down? Some of the concerns they are putting up. Isolation is one. Communication is the other one. And can't really miss the COVID word. But there has been some concern that students have raised for lack of motivation, 3 theory modules, isolation. I got 1 more minute to get more, and after that we will go to our principal and vice chancellor.
As I say, Alison will be in a minute.
Oh, I can see her. She's here.
Oh, Alison's here. Yeah. Hi, Alison.
Our vice chancellor, Alison Tobin, who is leading our university for the learning and teaching department of the university.
Thanks, Ankit. I'm actually the vice principal. Andrea's principal and vice chancellor.
Oh, sorry.
So
My
nice
bad.
to be promoted, but it's not really fair.
Right, we are nearly to the time, so shall we take it to our leadership team? Here you go, Andrea Newland, to take it now.
Wow. What a lovely picture, because I'm here in my Edinburgh Napier hoodie with a pair of jeans on. So that's what working at home has done for us all. No need to actually dress up, but it's lovely to be on. I can only see a few faces on the top, but lovely to be here. I don't know how many people are here, but welcome to the students to this evening's session, and thank you to Ankit, Heloise and Nicola for inviting Alison and I along. We're here really to talk to you about your questions and to hear your questions and hear your thoughts and get some feedback. And we're always interested to hear what we can do to improve things for you. I just thought I'd set the scene a little bit, just a couple of minutes, and then I'll pass over to Alison just to set the overall university, what we've been thinking of for the university over the last few months. And I'll ask Alison then just a few things about the learning and teaching and what we've done and how and why. So it's been, I mean, everybody says it and it's true, it's been an extraordinary year. And I suppose what I've learned lots of things, but what I am truly amazed by is first and foremost the response of our staff, who within 3 days had to suddenly go home, put all their teaching material online, assess online. And then over the summer, we have postgraduate students who are doing projects, so we had to work around that. We had no labs available. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, the staff, the professional support staff, were trying to get the campuses ready to open up again, because the Scottish Government, we had them shut until the beginning of August, and opening them up, we had to ensure they were safe. And so our priority has been, our thinking has been, how do we balance giving our students the best possible experience we can And we made a decision that where we could, we would provide some face-to-face teaching. It's not a huge amount, it's not a lot, but we would do the best we can. And we've been really, it's really hard with the space we have, because we've only got about 15 to 18% of the space we would normally have available to us. So we hired some extra space at Edinburgh International Conference Centre and at Murrayfield and I think, I can't remember, one other space. But we've done the best we can with the space we have to provide some face-to-face. And Alice and I believe that's important, because I notice up in your slide, isolation. Many students are joining university for the first time. They don't know what a university is, you know, because they may have come from school or from college, and not to be able to see your classmates, to interact with them, can be really challenging. So we wanted to do as much face-to-face as we could, but also we recognized that to actually make online learning and teaching more engaging, we would need to spend time about how we designed the provision of our teaching. And then Alison will talk a little bit more about the work we've been doing with staff, and staff have been so quick to respond. Most of them didn't take any summer holidays to get engaging forms of teaching for you. Safety has been a massive issue for us, making our campuses COVID safe. We have dealt with an outbreak of COVID in our residences in September. It was related to a couple of obviously pretty large parties that with students from lots of universities. But once the outbreak was confirmed and we put in place testing, students were fantastic in the residences. They were fantastic in getting tested, in isolating, and in closing the outbreak down. And we haven't had any cases in our residences for the last 6 weeks, five and a half weeks, I think it is, which is an amazing testament to the students taking responsibility. What we are thinking about now is we will have timetables. Two things that I learned from the sudden rush home and getting campuses ready for trimester 1 was first to get timetables out to students as soon as we could. So our timetabling for next trimester is on track to get it out when you would normally get it. And the second thing was to be clear on what it is we could deliver. So to ensure that student expectations, that we weren't saying, come, you're going to have a face-to-face experience that's wonderful if you're only going to have 3 hours a week on campus. So doing those two things has been a priority for us. We're also, that's all on track for next trimester. We've also been asked a week ago to set up testing facilities for all students who wish to travel away from Edinburgh. So now we've joined forces with Edinburgh University, and from next Monday, all students will be, who have a different home address to their term, will be able to access testing to help them feel more secure about going home, particularly if they're going home to vulnerable adults. We've also spent quite a lot of time on how do we provide extra support for students staying on campus. There'll be many who won't be going home or staying in our residencies over Christmas. So what is the extra support we can put in place? We have done put a lot of time and effort into our Mark Wilkinson, who leads our health and wellbeing and mental health and counselling services. We get regular updates on the usage of these, and we're keeping a track on those, and also on waiting times. So that's just, they're some of the things, the approach we took in March. We've opened up, we're coming to the end, this is the last teaching week, and our exam, we have a study week next week, and then exams begin on the 7th of December. And then we will have a break and prepare for trimester 2. And we've put our teaching start date, actually, our welcome week will be all online, and our teaching will start on the 25th of January, which gives us time to actually prepare and get the timetable sorted, and give people time to get back to Edinburgh. So I'm not sure if I've touched the things you thought I would teach, and we're keeping the extra teaching space available. And we're also looking, can we make any of that available to ENSA for any of their social activities, so and sport, their societies in particular. I'll hand over to Alison just to add in a few things about our approach to teaching.
Yeah, thanks, Andrea. I think probably I'll start off by saying it's great to be able to meet you. Sad that we're not there to see you in person, but it's really good to see so many of you have turned up tonight. So I really want to do a lot of listening, and I know Andrea does as well. But perhaps I could just give you a little bit of an idea of what's been going on behind the scenes since March, really, when I remember calling the first meeting of heads of learning and teaching in schools. And at that stage, we were operating normally, and we had to make a judgment call as to how much we wanted to create panic amongst our colleagues, but also prepare for what may have been lying ahead at that time. And the minutes of that meeting, which will probably be framed at some stage, has got me saying, I don't want to worry anybody, but we appear to be a couple of weeks behind Italy, and we might need to plan to close the campus for a week or two. Well, within a week of that, we'd fully closed the campuses, and you don't need me to tell you what a difference it made to everybody's lives at the time. And we didn't get you back onto campus again till September. And I know some of you probably haven't had the chance to come onto campus, but believe me, the effort that was made by ENSA as well, by the student reps, by colleagues across the whole of the university. In fact, the whole university sector has been immense. But it's not been normal, and I know that you're not experiencing what we would like you to be experiencing as normal student life. When we were planning for September over the summer, we didn't know whether we would be back to normal, whether we'd be 1 metre or 2 metre distance social spacing. We were looking at lecture theatres. If you're familiar with the largest lecture theatre at Craiglockett, 400-seater, it was down to a capacity of 35 students, and that was the biggest space that we had. So trying to fit as many opportunities for you to come onto campus as possible, and also make it worthwhile you travelling, many of you long distances to come to Edinburgh Napier, was a big challenge to all of us. So again, not perfect, but very much appreciate the efforts that were going on, particularly amongst property and facilities staff who are gosh, if I got shares in Perspex, I think I'd be a very rich person by now. But all the work that went into that, and I remember, Ankit, your video that you made trying to get your way around the one-way system at Merchiston, and I'm sure, Andrea, you don't mind me sharing the story that you and the head of finance ended up in the basement and couldn't find your way out again. So lots and lots of things that we had to grapple with. So I know it's been challenging, and I really do feel for those of you that are new to Napier, that haven't had a chance to make friends yet or meet people. I'd just like to hear from you what we can do to try and make things better. But just bearing in mind that we don't have magic wands, and we will do our absolute best. But it's the most difficult thing I've certainly ever encountered in my entire career in higher education. So that's probably all I need to do, Eloisa and Anka. I don't know if you want me to talk more about testing, about plans for travel for Christmas. I know communication has gone out, but we could certainly talk a little bit more. But I would really rather be listening tonight, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
We'll be going into the groups now, so we'll get
we're going to do a quick Q&A with Andrea and Alison first.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you're right, Alison. You know, the students can find this information up online. It's better if we can have a bit more of a little Q&A now, so about 5-10 minutes. So you know, if any of you reps or just students have questions for Andrea or for Alison, now is the time. You can pop them in the chat, or you can just unmute yourself and ask the question directly as well.
Hi Alison, hi Andrea. My name's Mark. I'm the class rep for the Masters in Adult Nursing. A few of us have some anxieties surrounding going back into placement in January, especially the ones who are crossing tiered areas where COVID is worse in some areas. And a a lot of us are just wondering if Napier are doing anything to provide students with a vaccine if the vaccine does become available.
Thanks, Mark, for the question. No, the availability of the vaccine is relatively new, and basically the whole management of the public health crisis around the pandemic is being led from Public Health Scotland and Scottish Government. So we don't have access to any vaccines. The Scottish Government have published their criteria for who the first tranche of people will be. And health workers are that, but whether that will include students or not, I don't know, Mark. But I can certainly raise it with the Dean, so she knows to ask, and she would communicate. I have my doubt as if that would be the case, certainly by January, because if they're only starting to do the most vulnerable people in maybe the middle of December, I have my doubts that it would be ready in January. But I would certainly ask.
Thank you.
Are your placements going ahead? Are your placements working okay, Mark?
So at the moment, we're not actually on placement. We haven't been since, I think it was sort of mid-March that got put on hold. So this semester we're doing 3 theory modules, and then as far as we're aware, placement is going ahead. We haven't been told where we're going or anything yet, because I think as things change in Scotland and hospitals, there's probably quite a lot of adjustments having to be made in terms of which wards will actually be able to take students, and etc., etc.
I think that's the case, and also, I guess, depending on the prevalence of the virus in various health authorities. One thing we have pushed very hard through University Scotland, which is how we communicate really with government, is the need for placements to go ahead for our teachers, for our nurses, for our midwives. Hugely important, and I think government is very, very aware of that, because we need all the nursing and health workers that we can have. So that's very high on their agenda, and there's a Council of Deans for Health, which is led by the Dean of the Nursing School in Queen Margaret, Fiona, and she's all over this at the moment. So I haven't got answers, but it's very high on the university's agenda and on the government's.
Thank you very much.
Well, we can certainly pass on your anxiety back to the Dean, Mark, but I'm assuming that you've got an opportunity to discuss that with your academic staff in the school as well about placements.
Yes, it's a question that gets raised every single week. People are really wanting to know where they're going, and I think it's also as soon as we get told where we're going on placement, it's kind of something to look forward to, if you know what I mean. Because
we'll keep that in the discussion. We have an 8:30 meeting every day, and have done for a number of months now, where we catch up on campus activities and plans for each trimester. So I'll keep that in mind. There is so much still that is completely unpredictable, as I'm sure you appreciate as well. I just wanted to say we've spoken a little bit about the asymptomatic testing, but I'm just really, really impressed with the number of student nurses that have come forwards to volunteer to support the testing centres. So it'd be good if you can feed that back to your student colleagues as well, Mark, because it's been absolutely immense.
Yeah, of course I will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Got another question here from Punit. Punit, do you wanna ask a question?
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I want to ask you one question to our principal. Like the university feel all the facilities as mentioned on the website due to COVID-19, and we understand this, but everyone around the globe got affected by it. But the irony is that university have thought about the international students, and they have continued to treat as a cash cow, no facility provided, increasing fees, no flexible payment plans, even though our family backs home are also struggling to survive. We are not aliens. We got also affected due to you can you explain about it, please, ma'am?
Yes, I do appreciate that. As you say, everyone all over the world is affected by this. And our international students are hugely valuable. I wouldn't describe them the way you have, but they enrich the culture of our classrooms and the whole city. With regards to no support, I'm not quite sure what you're referring to. With regards to all the support services are available to all our students. You mentioned no flexible payments. That's not the case. We have quite a lot of students. We have, well, maybe 60 or 70, I think, students who have approached us who had challenges with payments from last January and from this September, and they are on flexible payment plans. We have all the services, health, well-being, support, careers that would be available to all students, Punit. So if you're having
I know, ma'am, but you know, in this pandemic, the university suddenly increase the fees. It's not fair, you know, like in this pandemic, at least you have to some of the percent you have to reduce because it's a distant learning, ma'am. Not we are learning on a campus, and you also know how it's affected to all the international students, how they are surviving nowadays. And some students they have to go back because of the situation, you know. It's very difficult to the students those coming for the experience in a university. So far they're traveling for so far from home and traveling to here for experience, university environment, but they don't get in this pandemic. I understand, but you have to at least some of the percent you have to reduce the fees, not instead of you are increasing the fees.
we're not increasing the fees. Our fees are as they were published. We decide our fees over a year in advance, so they're not increasing. They are as people will have known them to be. We have we're doing our best. We're providing the same standard of degree outcomes, we hope. I know it's not the same experience as before, and that's what we're making clear to students now before they join us in January, etc. But we are providing a huge amount of support for our students as much as we can. We have distributed hardship funds to over 500 students, and 50% of those were international students. We have gone out for a big hardship support appeal to our alumni, where we've raised £300,000 or £400,000 over the last 2 appeals, and so we're absolutely committed to supporting all our students, and our international students are just hugely valued part of our community. If there are people you need to access or services you need to access, Punit, that you can't or you don't know how, let me know. I can't access my chat function, but I'll certainly put you in touch with the relevant people.
But now, ma'am, we have to pay more for the study environment, such as I like high speed internet, expensive bills, and everything. Hiring laptops from outside, we have to buy the laptops from outside. We are already paying additional expenses. Rather than we have to depend on the universities because we are paying thousands of pounds to university and we don't get any kind of facilities, the resources what we are looking for, and we are paying additional expenses as well.
Brunich, there are loads of facilities to support you with. We've invested in additional laptops for which you can take out now for 2-week loans. There are many facilities, so I'm not quite sure. I don't think you're plugged into the right set of services. So, Alison, did you want to?
Yeah, I wanted to come in there, Punit, because there was a lot of communication over the summer with international students asking whether they needed laptops on loan, and I understand that there was only one response to that call out that went out repeatedly over the summer. I've followed this up with our IT department, who tell me that the laptop loan still has some capacity, so there are spare laptops available. You should know as well that you can book spaces in the library where you can access computers. Again, I understand that there is capacity there, so it's not fully.
I know, but university's laptops is not working in a well and good condition. Sometimes it's scratched, and we have to travel to university for 1 hour, 2 hour distance. So it's like difficulty, and as per the government rules, like we have to only stay in a university for 3 hours, not more than that. But now you change like 5 hours, but it's like it's a long trip, and it's a wasting of time for the small things we have to go to university.
I'm really sorry. I don't want to cut anyone off, but just we need to move on now. I hope that's okay. I know that there's a few other people in the chat who wanted to ask other questions. Is there a possibility for them maybe to ask them to you later on or in an email? How would that work?
I think there's one that we could probably answer now about the. I just lost it from the chat from Aurora Katsardis about plans for international students wanting to go home for Christmas, because currently leaving tier 3 and 4 isn't allowed, but would be required to get to the airport. We are getting information almost on a, well, actually it's not almost, it is on a daily basis, isn't it, Andrea, from Scottish Government about relaxation of travel and travel home. I think the latest advice is to be alert to any announcements that will come out, but we're fully expecting that people will be able to get to airports across the different tiers. I don't know whether there's going to be a particular date when that's available. Andrea, have you got any more information on that?
No, we've got absolutely no dates, but there's no reason why. I mean, I think it's a reasonable exception for people to be traveling, you know, out of the country to go to their families. I don't think it'll be an issue, but we just haven't had the guidance yet.
Yeah, we'll let you know as soon as we hear something, because obviously, you know, the time is pressing on, and you want to start to book flights to go home. So we are expecting updates any minute. We keep getting promised that. But there's been a reassurance that students will be able to get home for Christmas.
Great, thank you. That's good to hear. Perfect. So yeah, we'll just move on to the breakout rooms now. So it's going to be the most interactive part of our student council. So you did the word cloud a bit earlier on. You typed in all the words, all the issues, the themes, the things that have affected your student experience this term. And now we're just going to use that word cloud in the different breakout rooms to structure the discussion. So we will put you into rooms of 5 to 6 people. And in each of these, we'd just like you to sort of talk about any of these issues that are coming up on the word cloud, anything that has affected you, particularly in this trimester, or that has affected your classmates or other people you know. And just we can, you know, you can talk about it in small groups and give your thoughts. And what will be good, we will have a person taking notes in each of the groups as well. And Andrea and Alison will also be moving around the different groups. And if you have any questions for them, you know, while you're in your work in your breakout room, that's also something that you can do. So that's what's going to happen. So you'll just be put into the different groups now. Might take a little while. So something should appear on your screen right now about the breakout rooms. And so yeah, just feel free to join. And yeah, I'll see you in the groups. Okay, welcome back everyone to the main room. I hope you've all been able to have good discussions, talk about any issues, share your thoughts. At least in my breakout room, I thought it was really good. Sort of talk about how everyone else had experienced, you know, this mainly first years and master students, whereas this is for their first year at Napier, and you know what it's like to go into an environment where you don't know anyone and it's very difficult to meet people because you can't see them face to face. So a very interesting discussion, and just to find out the ways in which online one can try and make connections. So I hope everyone else managed to have some good discussions as well. Don't worry, I won't ask every group to feedback on what they spoke about. That would take ages. So I think I'll just go over to you, Andrea and Alison. If you could just give us some quick thoughts about the breakout rooms. What did you think about any issues that came up? Anything interesting?
You're muted, Andrea.
Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes. I seem to have gone away with a load of actions. But I have to feed them back through you and Agatha, Eloisa. Yeah, some really interesting, some good feedback on communication, you know, and some of it being good. It could be improved, obviously, always improved. And the importance of communicating early with students is very clear to me, and trying to give them as much certainty. Or even if we don't have certainty, to say we don't have certainty. So comms came out for me quite a lot. Yeah, the issue of students and how they interact on in online breakout rooms, you know, that came over quite strongly, that can be a problem. Students being very quiet and the same voices appearing. There was one area where yeah, and this was from a student rep whose class hasn't been on campus at all. So that's something we have to think about, how we can encourage people to interact online. We talked again, there were about some of the technical issues, and it struck in my mind how it's so important to have, you know, we can do the best teaching, do best whatever. If people don't have access to good IT, good internet, and also know how to use the software. So there were some problems with WebEx early on. And then some challenges too, picking up on Punit's point earlier about, you know, because I think our finance team is very flexible and approachable, but it was explained to me that perhaps the students always don't present their case well. So that was really helpful. And I'll probably follow up with Ankit about how we could get, you know, ENSA could help students present the case, and I could get one of my finance team to actually say, well, these are the key things we need to hear from you. So yeah, I really appreciated it and enjoyed it.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Andrea. Anything from you, Alison?
Yeah, thanks. I've really enjoyed it as well. And I was saying to the group, I managed to get to 2 groups, so apologies I didn't get around to see everybody, but Andrea will remember that we've tried to engage like this over the years, and we had some events last year where we invited all the reps along to an open evening. We brought in lots and lots of food, free pizzas, and I think we invited over 300 reps, and we had 11 people turn up. I mean, it's great, this forum. It makes it so much easier to engage, and it's just been, certainly for me, really, really good to be able to listen to students. Things that I picked up, particularly around induction, and I think it'd be really helpful, Ankit, Eloisa, if you could set up some sort of bulletin board or chat board. I did offer my email address in the last meeting, and I think that would probably be a little bit dangerous because my inbox just would explode. It'd be really good if you could encourage those who are here tonight to leave some advice on things that they would have liked to have had during induction that would have helped them. And not just induction, but ongoing things. So, you know, for example, I'm hearing that there were challenges with understanding how to access WebEx. Some students with IT issues that perhaps we could have solved if we'd known about them. So as we plan for induction for Try 2, it would be really good to hear from students, both those who have entered directly from school, those who are coming in from college, mature students. What would really have been, you know, the ideal induction for them? I think that would have been extremely helpful. And face-to-face is obviously something that first years have very much appreciated. Notwithstanding the limitations we've got, we will do our best to offer as much face-to-face as we possibly can.
Great, thank you, Alison. Yeah, that's definitely something that I can ask on the Rep Facebook group as well, to just everyone to send me their suggestions and comments on what they think would have been very useful at the beginning of term as well, and then I can send that back to you. So that sounds good.
A little rider to that as well is not just ask for what would have been useful, but give us an idea of how it might have been delivered to them. For example, would WebEx tuition on a short video be useful? Would that be useful if it was on a Moodle platform? I'm really wanting to hear what the best way would be to deliver some of these activities to students.
Okay, great.
Okay,
thank you. Okay, that sounds good. I think we'll just move on to what's coming up at ENSA, and then that will be the end of the meeting. So these are just the things that are coming up in the next couple of months. So at the moment, we are running a meme competition. So this is something that we can, so for all of these events, you can see it all on our website. So it's napierstudents.com, or on our social media. We're active on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Facebook as well. So if you want more information about these, you can find it there. But we're running a meme competition at the moment. So you need to make your own meme, and you can win a couple of pizza vouchers for Papa John's. That's happening right now. So if you want to procrastinate a bit, if you're a bit creative, you can definitely do that. Then we also have next week on the 3rd of December, a virtual coffee and chat for students from the School of Engineering and School of Computing. So we've already had one of these for the business school last month. It was quite successful. So if you're a student at any of those schools and you would like to come and ask a few questions, there will be someone there from ENSA Advice. There will be the school's coordinator as well, and lots of different people that could answer some of your questions about how the campus is operating and anything specific to those schools and to your programs as well. So you can find that on our website and on our social media shortly. It will come up. Then on the 9th of December, we will be having our Rainbow Laces campaign. So this is a campaign by Stonewall Scotland, and it's to celebrate the contributions of the LGBT community in sports, and make sports an inclusive place for people from that community. So usually what we do during Rainbow Laces is that the different members of sports clubs and societies will wear these laces on their shoes and take a picture all together, which is quite nice. And this year, what we're doing that's a bit different is that we're asking for anyone from the LGBT community to share their positive stories with sport. So that's coming up soon. It's also on our website if you want to find out a bit more about it. And then the last campaign, which has actually already started as well, is a collaboration between ENSA and 5 other students' associations in Scotland. It's called the Winter Wonderland Extravaganza. And this one is quite exciting because it's 8 days of different competitions that you can take part in. And every day there will be a winner who will win a £100 voucher, which is quite a lot. You can buy all of your Christmas presents with that. So that's also something that you can find on our Facebook, on our Instagram, and on our website as well. So, it's quite easy to participate in these competitions. And, if you're a program rep, share this with your classmates too, so that you can get them engaged. And it's just something fun to do before the holidays. So that's just a quick roundup of what's coming up. And obviously what we spoke about at the beginning of the forum is the important referendum where we need 10% of students to vote at. And so just don't forget to vote. The voting will open on Thursday, the 3rd of December, and you will see everything about it on our website, on our Facebook as well. And just as a program rep, please encourage your classmates to vote too, and just anyone that you know at Napier. It takes 2 seconds. You just go on the link and you click yes or no, and that's it. So yeah, that's it from me. So thank you so much to everyone who attended. I know this is, time is valuable, 2 hours, that was quite a lot. And thank you so much to Andrea and Alison as well. It's really nice to have you here. And I'm sure the students really appreciated being able to ask you all these questions. So thank you so much for your time. And as well, if you would like to contact us at ENSA about any issues that were raised tonight or anything else that you would like to talk about, if there's anything that you wanted to ask or you wanted to say and we weren't able to attend to because of the agenda, that's absolutely fine. Just send us an email. You can send an email to me, to Nikhil, and to Ankit. And we also have our own Facebook accounts. So the links are right here on the screen. You can just message us there. If it's just a very quick question, it's just better to use Facebook. If it's a longer one, you can send us an email. But yeah, that's it. So yeah, thank you everyone, and have a good evening.
Yeah, thanks
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Ansa.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Take care. Later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Goodbye, guys.